Feeling lost trying to draw the back of the body? Like you just don't know what's going on, quote unquote, back there? With all the lumps and bumps and fascia and bones and connective tissue? Well, I don't blame you if you feel lost. But by the end of this video, I'm going to give you the map. So you never get lost in the human back again. So I want you to know how that bad boy fits together. Because I'm Brosatsu. I'm going to be your art teacher today. I have been a pro artist for over a decade and a hobby artist my entire life. I specialize in drawing characters and cartooning, figure anatomy, anime, all that kind of stuff, you name it. So, what's the trick? You got to learn how it actually fits together. Don't just look at art refs on Pinterest. You got to understand the back at a medical, biological, physiological level, right? Because the back isn't actually that complex physically. You only need 6 major muscles, but you're letting 6 muscles get in your head and push you around. Well, I'm not into that. That ain't gonna do. So I want to give you the knowledge to flip the script. Of course, before we start, shameless plug, if you want feedback, live lessons, and the more in-depth version of any of my lessons on YouTube, you can come check out my art school, The Art Forge. The link's below if you want to check it out. With that, anyway, let's get it. As always, I love to start with the bones. The back bones are about as complex as the front bones in that there's like 3 of them. So, what do we got? Your spine's a really important bone. It just kind of looks like that. At the bottom, it's your coccyx. It's your tailbone. It's just got a funny name. And it's very important, so I'm gonna make sure. I think it's spelled coccyx, right? Very important bone. Then you got your rib cage, of course, right? And there's a scapula up here. And those are your big bones for your back, right? Very simple. And of course, your hip. Your hip's gonna be involved. I put the coccyx too low. Sorry, it's right here. It's at the bottom of your pelvis. Right. That's the bones of the back. And I'm just going to quickly go over the anatomy here before we get into the fun part. Naming it all. Right? Okay, we don't actually need coccyx. I just drew it up because I thought it was funny. We got our bones. I want you to say it with me in your head. What are these bones? What's this one? Say it first. It says scapula. You should just know the name because then it's, you know, easy to talk to other artists about. Your scap's off. Like, oh, okay. What's this one here? That's your humerus. Right, what's this? If you can't get this one, I'm sorry. You didn't pay attention in school. It's your rib cage. Someone didn't love you if you don't know what this is called, okay? You need to go sue somebody right now. This is a spine. It's your pelvis. Or your hip, whatever you want to call it, okay? Pretty straightforward, like I said. The back, the bones, not complicated. Cool. So, how do all these muscles fit together? Well, the thing about the back is it has an interesting, let's just say, it looks really complicated when you first look at it. Like you see those, you know, guys doing big spreads of their backs. You're like, okay, that's above my pay grade. But it's actually, the back is much simpler than you think it is. There's really only about 4 or 5 major areas, and they're not actually that complicated in how they move. And you're like, oh, yeah, they are. It's like, no, they're not. I'll show you in a sec. Watch this. So, we don't need that. Just lighten this. We don't need these labels anymore because we're moving on. We don't define ourselves by our labels. So we're all about growth here, right? The first big section and muscle is your traps. Okay? Are you light? Oh, I see. Okay, we're gonna call that one the traps. Right? And this one, and let's do the connective tissue too. So remember I was babbling about fascia before I hit record? Well, this is where this is important. And also the tendons. Your traps connect down this way along the spine. And they kind of come to about mid-arm. It's almost like there's 2 sections to them, because what happens is there's this section up here off the neck that comes down like this and connects across the scapula. And then it kind of butterflies down. And you'll see that this shape here, and we'll see this when we go into the backs, takes on a lot of different shapes. What's happening is it's here on the scapula, right? That's where it's connecting. Then it comes down and connects to the spine, right? So there's kind of like 2 sections to it, and it will generally have this kind of shape to it, right? Some call it like a butterfly. It takes on a lot of forms. You just need to know that's there. It's a very, very big muscle. Does a lot of cool stuff. It's like when you bring your shoulders up to your ears, that's your trap. Your trap's what's doing that. So there's your traps. And there's also, when you do your drawing, you'll notice there's usually like a little diamond shape here around the spine. Little trappy diamond. We'll just call that the trap diamond. I don't think it's not actually called that, but I'm going to call it that now. And I expect all of you to call it that too. So that's your first major section, right? Your traps. Trap diamond, right? Tell your friends. Okay, next big one. Biggest, the next section here is, of course, your delts, your shoulders, section 2. And these ones, we went over this a little bit. You remember there was like the 3 heads, right? So from the back, you're going to see right here. So there's these, and we're going to color these in. Don't worry, so you know where they are. But this is your other section, delts 2, shoulders, right? If you don't want to use fancy, you want to use the street name, it's the shoulders. You know, when you're out in the alleys dealing drugs and you're going to talk about those sides of your arms, you don't say your delts, say your shoulders, and then you commit crimes, okay? The street name. Right, there, I'll label these even more so it's like super clear. Section 1, section 2, and then section 3. I'm gonna use green for this one because I like green. I'm feeling it. It's a nice big green, and this is your lats, and this is the big money muscle on your back. They take up like half your back. They're friggin' huge. As you remember, actually I shouldn't use green because that's our connective tissue. Oh no! Oh no! 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 Let's go purple. That's the royal color, right? And since lats are so important, we want a nice regal color because I messed up and used green, which was supposed to be our connective tissue, right? So your lats, they connect along here. And this is where I was mumbling about fascia, is because this lower section, you'll see in a sec, it's all like this connective tissue. And that'll be important when you look at the references. So you can remember, because you got big brains, I know you're all smart, that the lats connect along the humerus on the inside, and then they swoop down like this, and they have this big shape like that. Right, and they kind of tuck under here a little bit. Usually the traps will kind of sit on top of the lats, but they squish right here a little bit. This part really varies person to person. Like, I want to emphasize when you're doing muscles that nobody is the exact same. They have they insert differently. They have different shapes, they have different sizes and thicknesses and all kinds of weird stuff. You should know the general areas, and then when you look at somebody, you want to draw somebody, you'll have like a really strong idea of like what should be happening. So you just want to you want to know. That's a lat, right? And then you'll often see when you do lats that it feels like it comes down and stops and then does this other section here. This is not a new muscle. It's just fascia, which is it's like connective tissue, it's like a sheet of connective tissue. It's not technically muscle, but it will look like muscle under the skin. But sometimes when you look at people, you'll see this kind of like rigidity down in this area. Like, what is all that? And it's because it's like this big sheet of connective tissue, right? So don't get too freaked out by that. Just know there's kind of this this thing here, right? And I looked it up. You might have heard me mumbling about it before I started recording. It was the thoracolumbar fascia. Ooh. $10 word, right? Someone go win some Jeopardy with that one. Okay, and then our fourth one, and you all would have heard me refer to this as the mess in a prior video. Now we're going to decipher the mess. That's we'll call it the mess here, but the mess is actually 3 things, right? So this is in here. This is for the mess. What there is, and that's not going to work, so we're going to zoom in here. There's this piece here, or the bottom one here. Let's use different colors, right? Actually, I realize calling it the mess is going to just make a mess in your guys' heads. So the first one here is actually your Teres major, right? Mess piece 1. Then let's grab pink. this one is your Teres minor. And then finally, let's use brown. This is another piece of fascia. It's called the Infraspinatus. Right? Okay, so this one's right in here. And then we got some pink, and then this one's right in here. So boop. This was 5. This one was 6. And I know I said there were 4. And that's because this can really function on a lot of drawings as just one unit. When you think about the back, unless someone's like really trying to get big, you won't really see these defined on most backs. You really won't. So unless someone's doing their pull-ups and they're hitting the gym 3 days a week, this is really just one unit, right? But again, if you want to do like, the Hulk or something, you're going to have to know about the breakdown, right, of the mess. And then just to connect this to what we've talked about before, I'll use black here. There is bone here. This is the top of your hip. This is your iliac crest, right? That big chunk of bone you can feel on the side of your body there, right? And then as we talked about before, so this is iliac. Let me label that, and then right here, you're like, what is this? That is the obliques. Remember we talked about that during the core? This is your obliques. All right, obs. And then let's see, what have I not used yet? I've used all the colors. I'm out of colors. We'll just label it, right? So then you got your butt here, right? Your butt runs this way muscular-wise. Like, you flex your butt, it comes in this way, right? So down here's your glute. There's a muscle here. I don't know if you want to do like a whole thing on the butt. You probably could do a butt lecture. I know you guys, you psychos, enjoyed the breast one, so maybe I'll do a butt lecture. Like, comment, and subscribe if you want a butt lecture. And then, of course, this is your arm up here. This is your tricep, just so you have a frame of reference. Who doesn't want to learn about butts, right? Okay, let's color these in so you guys know what I'm talking about. Okay, your trippy traps, right? Traps. Delts. Shoulder for the streets, right? You're like, dude, enough with the muscles. Can we show it? Like, how do I draw this? And I'll be like, that's why we're here, man. Like, why are you getting all aggro on me? God. Because there's a point to this. Because I want you to know these pieces. Look at the back, you're like, yeah, okay, cool. Okay. And just to emphasize this, your sections, I'm gonna make this light. There is section 1. Okay. 1, section 2, section 3, and section 4. Right? These are the major groups of the back, and I see the chat going, they want a booty lecture. We'll talk about that like adults in a different chat. I'm not opposed to it if you guys want to delay the next lecture, which is we went over digital stuff and how to do all the digital wizard tricks. If you want to add an extra advanced anatomy class on just booty, I'm sure you guys can convince me. So with that, that's the major pieces of the back. Do we have any questions before I dive into showing you how these work in some weird positions? Give you all a sec. I'll take a nice deep breath of fresh earth air. Oh yeah. Questions? I shouldn't think though. I shouldn't think so. It's not that complicated, right? So let's just. It's a big mess of numbers, isn't it? So let's just. Ooh. So let's goody booty. This is one. Okay. Just organizing some layers here as we move on to the next one. Okay. Let's have shop there because I want these nearby as I go through so you have the references because we want you to learn. Right? Oh, wow. That's messed up. Scootin'. Just gonna delete this. I'm sure you guys know what's down there. Here we go. Right. Which part did you say does not show up much again unless you're getting jacked? That'd be section 4. Right? So you can see on the little fella here, there's 3 muscles I pointed out. And then on this one, there's only 4. And let's look. Oh, actually, you know what I'll do first? I'm going to go over the refs first. And then I'll show you the weird positions. So you can see it on a real human body. Right? So let's do that first. You're right. That's a much smarter way to go about this. Good call. Here's ref, let's start here. A nice simple back. So here's a guy who's clearly trying to get as jacked as humanly possible. Doing a great job of it, my goodness. What the heck, bud? Did you just not wear shirts because you can't? But that's why we picked this. This is a good reference. I just wanted to get a guy that was clearly running gear so you can see all the muscles. So, let me turn this up. You can see right here that little diamond I was talking about. See that? There's like this little bump on the spine here. So when you want to get really fancy with your anatomy, do that spine bump. I think it's the 7th piece of your spine, your vertebra. I think it's called C7. It's a little bone that pops up there. But here's that spine, or sorry, that trap diamond, right? Okay. Here's that ship I was talking about. See that? There's that first section of the trap. And it kind of does another one right here, right? You can see how there's just sort of like sort of 2-piece to it. Technically, it's all the same muscle. That's just, but in the same way, you know, you say, oh, it's your bicep. But your bicep's actually 2 heads. So we just call this whole region the trap, right? It's your diamond. And there it is. Beautiful, right? There's his. Yeah, you'll see some folks incorrectly call this a rhomboid. That's not the case. The rhomboids are actually underneath. You can't see them. They're like under all this. They're here, but you can't see them. This is just the lower trap. And you can see here on the big boy the 3 pieces, right? So what did we used? Brown, pink, and yellow. So scoot this over. So right here is our Teres major. Right, and then we have right here is the Teres minor. It's ever so slightly visible, and then the Infraspinatus. Right, all this is his big ol'. There's his rear delt. There's his medial delt. Right, it's all clicking, nothing crazy. And you can see here how I was talking about. There's like, this looks like 2 sections. This is just that fascia thing I was talking about. There are actually. Should have mentioned this. There's some muscles here that run along the spine. They're called the spinal erectors. You can see them on some people, but usually that's only for like, again, really big people. I remembered it when I saw the big guy here, where there's like kind of this bump thing going on. That's on guys that are really working their backs. They'll get these like 2 big pythons running down their back like this with the spinal erectors. But on most people, most human beings, you don't see these. The lats are just over top of it. But you should be aware of that. Anyway, so here's his lat, right? And I'm going to put a little, our little connective tissue line there, right? Because this is now fascia. It's like the lat diamond, right? And then like the spinal erectors. And let me color these in so you can see them. Oh, his traps are... See, he has a good example here. His traps are actually... They are... kind of lopsided, eh? See that? See how this one's over fatter? Oh, it's because he's shrugging the shoulder in for the shot. That's why. But you see that? See how, like, this part is thinner than this part? Because he's pulling his shoulder in. And this goes to the part of Wonder Woman hugging the sword. That's what's happening. That's what she's doing, is she's taking her trippy traps and squeezing them in to hold that sword, theoretically, which sounds like it's very tiring, honestly. Does not sound fun, gal. Luckily, movies are not real, right? You know what I'm saying? But you see that? So far, so good. Everyone's like, okay, yeah, I see the muscles. Right, just plopping them in. Boop, boop, boop. And I should point out, this is scapula. This is scapula. Right here is his iliac crest. Right, that's bone. And then right up here, this is the obliques, right? Let's color in. I know you guys like that. I like it too. It looks great, right? So, coloring, coloring, coloring. Coloring, coloring, coloring. I know what you're thinking. What happens when someone's not jacked to the tits? That's a great question. Let's get into that. I actually found the least muscularly impressive woman I could find to show you what happens when you're going to draw a not jacked back. Man, this guy is freaking huge. This is nuts. Make sure I did that right. Yeah, he's so big that his teres major is actually popping over his lats. So you can see here. You see how this is coming over like that? Normally the lat will kind of hug over top. Like this. But this guy is so popping that this thing is just pooling over. It's nuts. And yes, the features soften greatly. So I'll show you that. I'm just going to color this in because it's a great way to see where stuff is. Right? I like it. I assume you guys like it, right? So there's that. Oh. Oh no, that's the wrong layer! He's lost it, he's gone off! There we go. Okay. Okay, so there's the major back muscles on a guy who's got way too much time spent on his hands in the gym. But you know, it's a good thing to do. Working out's awesome. Cool. There's that fella. Okay, that's the lesson. Thanks for watching. If you want some more free short lessons, feel free to snoop around my channel. But if you want the rest of this lecture, more on the topic and more on every lecture, as well as access to an art teacher and taking part in the live lectures weekly, where you can ask questions and get feedback on your work, you should check out my online art school, The Art Forge. Links below if you want to learn more. If not, that's cool too. Thanks again. Versatsu out. Peace.